Milos, first and foremost, how are your wonderful kids doing? It must be a handful for yourself and your lovely, lovely lady there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's getting they're getting bigger. Everybody's walking, so it's kind of like it's a lot of work in the house and stuff. But I mean, it's a pleasure. Every day with them, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Milos, let's talk about it. A couple weeks ago, a lot of people here were emailing me and texting me after the game, and they were so happy to see Milos Kocic and the Portland Timbers defeat a TFC in a game that was lopsided. How did you feel early on? Because watching that game, Milos, it looked like you were a little bit tense and you needed to settle down.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm playing with teams where I played for many years, and it's like you're playing against. There's feelings obviously there. It's not easy playing against the club that I gave so much to. So many years and so much passion into it. So it's like facing them. It's like facing my past. So it was pretty intense. It was pretty. I wasn't playing as free as I would play any other MLS game. I was a bit tentative, like you said. It's because it's a bit of pressure with playing my old team.
Obviously, the night before the game, you must have had very few hours of rest and a lot of things going through your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never easy to play your old club, and it's you always think about all the good things that you've been through with them, and all the bad things that you've been through with them. So it's always interesting playing those games. But I'm glad at the end of the day, I'm glad that we won, and we are in a pretty good run now, and we're looking forward to playoffs.
And let's talk about that, Milos. Big win over the Colorado Rapids. So I got to tell you, Milos, when I look at Diego Valeri and Will Johnson, for me, they're two of the best midfielders in MLS. Valeri is magic when he's got the ball. Will Johnson never, ever, ever stops on any play.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a very, very good midfield, but it's not just a midfield. We're all over the field. We have so many good players and so many people that can step up and play for us. We had so many injuries, so many ACL injuries, but still there's other people that step up and play well for the club, and that's why we are where we are. Fighting for playoffs, and having Will and Valeri, and even Valeri now, he's had a little bit of problem with his hip flexor, I believe, but he's still playing and performing better than ever. So we have a very good group of guys. The midfield is exceptional, but everybody's working for each other, and we all have the same goal to reach the playoffs and eventually win the MLS Cup.
And Milos, what's interesting about your team is there is a good mix of veterans, but there's also some exciting youngsters. One guy who was on our show a couple weeks ago, Darlington Nagbe, for me, has got to be considered one of the up-and-coming stars in this league.
Oh, yeah. Darlington is many people don't know a lot of things about him, but he's amazing, man. It's like the way he plays, the way he keeps the ball. He's just too nice, If you meet him, you'll realize how nice he is. If he was just a little bit more selfish, a little bit more on the bad side, he'll definitely be one of the best players in the league by far. He's just too nice, He's been. That's why we're trying now to push and tell him, you have to be more free and just play. And it's like he's, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league if you just relax and play the way he can play.
Milos, still today, myself and many people in the city of Toronto are laughing. They're confused, shaking their head when we found out that Maximiliano Yurtu was sent to Portland Timbers. Only 37 minutes here. The guy was scouted for 2 months, and then Portland gets him. What are you guys getting in this player, and how do you think he's going to help your team?
Well, we got a guy who can score for us. Ryan scored a lot of goals this year, but he needs help because he goes with the national team, and and also his contract is up at the end of the year. So I don't know what he's going to do, but definitely when we brought Maxi, it's like he showed everybody in training what he can do. And he is a great finisher. That's what we need. We have a very good group of midfielders, and we need a good forwards as well with Ryan who can help him out and step up and score goals. We scored a lot of goals this year, and a lot of goals are scored from the midfield. Maxi coming up front with Ryan definitely can help us and score more goals and and be more dangerous.
How is it, Milos, when you go into, whether you're playing Seattle or whether you're at home playing Seattle or Vancouver, the crowds are unbelievable before the games, during the games, the passion. To me, it's like a European atmosphere. And the best atmosphere are the three teams in the Pacific Northwest. Whether it's Vancouver, Portland, or Seattle, it's unbelievable. Describe it for us, Milos, when you guys are playing that derby against Seattle.
Yeah, against Seattle is a different level. Like, I've never experienced anything like that, and I don't think even if I play in Europe somewhere else, I don't think I'm going to experience anything like that. Like, the tifos that they had against us, it's like unbelievable. And all the 70,000 people, every game we face each other, it's like crazy. Our fans are, as much as they can fit, 25,000 people in that stadium, Sheldon Field. They're as loud as the 60,000 that Seattle has. So it's when we play each other, it's crazy. It's different level, different. It's a real rivalry between the cities. It's not just two clubs; it's two cities. So it's a lot of pride in both places. And every time we face each other, it's just getting crazy.
Milos, this Western Conference, you cannot take a game off. It is such a tight race right now for a playoff spot. You look at Seattle a few weeks ago, they weren't even in a playoff spot. They're sitting in first. You look at Real Salt Lake, how they've played, and then you look at Vancouver and San Jose, and they're still hanging around. Tell us about how important each and every game is to finish off the season to get into the playoffs.
Well, I realized something playing in Western Conference, that it's much harder than the Eastern Conference, and a lot of teams are very competitive, and every game is so much pressure. You feel pressured, like in East, maybe because I played in Toronto and we haven't had a chance to fight for playoffs. But here, every game is so tense. The crowd, the coaches, the players, everybody's so tense and so exploding of energy. Like they're ready to go, and every game is just another opportunity to win 3 points. And if you don't, then you're actually losing 6 points because everybody's so tight there. That we have to work really hard to. This year we got a lot of ties. We haven't lost many games, but we have a lot of ties. So that kind of like killed us a little bit right now. But every game is crucial. Like every 3 points actually turns into 6 points because, like you said, there's like 7 teams that can easily go to playoffs.
But something has changed, Milos. About a month ago, your team, they weren't playing at the best that they could. You guys were struggling there a bit. Coach Porter was boisterous that he wanted more. You had some injuries, let's be honest. But something has turned around in the last 4 games. What has it been?
Well, the guys came back from injuries, and also everybody hits the wall in the season, no matter when. Either you have a bad at the beginning of the season, you have a bad mid-season, or at the end. Well, every team has those struggles. And the good thing about us, like I said, we got a lot of ties, so we got some points out of those bad games. We haven't lost too many games. We lost only 5 games this year, so it's pretty good that we actually learn on the job, and we haven't lost points, as many points as we should, because I think it's very important not to lose the game even if you're tight, because everybody's so tight. So I think we struggle a little bit because we haven't had a whole group there. There's a lot of injuries, but right now we have a lot of guys back, so I'm looking forward to making playoffs.
Milos, it's safe to say that MLS has really helped to develop the U.S. player, Central American players, some Canadian players, and the way you see USA right now playing, the way they have been playing, qualifying for Brazil 2014. I've got to tell you, I sincerely think, whether it's in Brazil or in Russia, with everything that Jurgen Klinsmann is doing, this nation, USA, can really open up a lot of eyes worldwide and possibly maybe get to a Final Four. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, so much talent. It's a big country, 300 million people, and a lot of people play soccer. And in the youth teams, there's it's a good development here. And also the players that have families abroad in Europe, then when they're younger, they definitely go there. They try out, they stay in Europe, and then after some years, they come back and play for their national team. They like United States. So there's a lot of players. That's the important thing. The difference between Canada and the United States is that Canada doesn't have as many players as the United States does. So they have a lot of choice. So when you have a lot of choices, then you have a lot of competition. Then that competition makes each other better. So I think looking at them this year, they look amazing. I mean, it also helped them a little bit that Mexico is not in the best form as well, so they haven't played the best soccer that we used to Mexico playing, and definitely that probably gave them a little bit of confidence as well.
And it's the first time in a long time, Milos, that American players are sought after worldwide. Josie Altidore, Clint Dempsey came back. We see Michael Bradley with AS Roma. I mean, we could go on and on. It wasn't long ago that people would never get an American player to go play overseas, but now they're after American players all sorts.
Yeah, it's you see Stoke, for example. They had a good experience with American players, and once you have a good experience, you bring more, right? It's the same with anything. So there's a lot of players that went to England, did well, and opened the doors for other players. So it's not just England, other countries as well. Germany has some American players, and big leagues in Europe. They have those. American players are notorious for hard-working players, especially those defensive midfields. A couple of forwards that are strong, hard. They can keep the ball, and that's the modern soccer. There's a lot of today's soccer is played on a muscle and having strong people up front and keeping the ball. And I'm glad to see that a lot of Americans are playing in Europe, and definitely opening the door for other ones that are coming up.
Milos, I had on Jimmy Nielsen, a goalie with Sporting Kansas City. I'm sure you know of Jimmy Nielsen, and also Marco Di Vaio. And they told me that the people from overseas or in South America that think they're going to come to MLS for a vacation better make sure that they understand it's not a vacation. It's a real league, and it's getting better and better. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a lot of players that come here. They actually realize that maybe first week what's going on, right? And as the time goes by, there's a lot of players that want to come here. They actually now first ask questions. Hey, how is that league? How is everything? They're not just coming for vacation. And when you have the top players like Henry and those guys, even then they have to perform. Because at the end of the day, they're paid big money, so they can't just come here and walk on the field because they'll get crashed, and what's the point? So. It's not easy just to come here. This league is very demanding. There's a lot of travels. Like people that are in Europe, where they travel by bus maybe 2 hours to a game. Here you have to travel 5 hours by plane. So you lose a whole day just in traveling. So it's a lot of challenges in this league, and definitely a lot of different than in Europe. I think the players now they ask a lot of questions before they come here.
Milos, the last thing I want to ask you, and then we'll let you go. We really appreciate your time. Here in Canada, specifically, there's many academies, many youth clubs that really cater to defenders, midfielders, strikers. But I don't see hardly many, if not any, soccer-specific goalie schools. Maybe there's one or two out there, but how important is it, Milos, that more and more guys out there that have played that position, that maybe have recently retired, give back and have just a goalie-specific school? Because a lot of times, Milos, I see with my sons, if you're a goalie on the team, you're like the last person that they think of, and they think of every other position. How important is it for the development of a goalie that maybe more and more specific academies and clubs cater to the goalie position?
Yeah, when I finish my career, I definitely want to come back and live in Toronto. We always talk with my wife about that, but I'm definitely want to be one of those guys to come and help out, but as much as I can, and I know. Talking about the kids' development and about goalkeeping, I always say that kids should play soccer. Even if you're a goalkeeper, you should play with your feet until you're probably 8, 9, 10 years old, and then you start goalkeeping technique and goalkeeping work, because you need to develop your feet first before you move to your hands, because I think that's the way the soccer goes these days, and the way goalkeepers playing with their feet. We're 11th player on the field, so I think the development of knowing how to kick the ball earlier, it's more important than knowing how to handle the ball so early. And believe me, hands can develop very easy. I think the hands are much easier to develop than feet. So I think between around ages of between 8 and 10, it's a good time to start as a goalkeeping, full goalkeeping training with a goalkeeper coach. And that's around the time that I started. So and I feel like it's a good time. Because another thing is that the goalkeeping is really hard on your body because you dive a lot of stuff a lot of times. So if you start that too early, then it comes to injuries, comes to a lot of things. So you want to save your body as much as you can, and then later on you develop technique pretty easy.